Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading an Arlecchino Listener by me. So let's get into it. The icy winds of shneznaya howl through the mountains, the frigid cold biting at your exposed skin as you stumble through the endless expanse of snow. Your limbs felt heavy, numb, and your breath came out in short, labored puffs. The coat you wore was too thin for this unforgiving climate, and you cursed yourself for underestimating Snezhnaya's brutal winters. Each step felt like an impossible task, and the edges of your vision blurred as exhaustion clawed at you. And somewhere, in the haze of light, you thought you heard a voice calling your name, but it felt so distant and unreal. The voice was slowly getting clearer, sharp and commanding in a way that you remembered so well, when your sluggish mind barely registered it, before strong arms wrapped around you, steadying your collapsing form. A familiar scent, a mix of cold steel and the faintest hint of lavender, filled your senses, and you blinked up to see Arlecchino's eyes staring down at you. Wide was weary. Arlie, you murmured weakly, your voice barely audible over the wind.
You fool. What were you thinking? Wandering out here like this?
She hissed, pulling you closer to her chest as she crouched to shield you from the wind. And you tried to respond, but your teeth were chattering too hard to form words. Her sharp eyes scanned your face, and she swore under her breath. Without hesitation, she lifted you into her arms, cradling you against her warm body. It was the best she could offer you now, and the contrast between her warmth and the biting cold was still almost overwhelming.
Hold on. I'll get you somewhere safe,
she ordered, her tone softer now, but still laced with urgency.
I'll get you somewhere safe.
You clung weakly to her coat as she began walking, her strides purposeful, despite the treacherous terrain. The wind whipped around you, and she moved with unwavering determination, her strength and resolve shielding you from the worst of the storm. Why are you here? You managed to ask, your voice trembling, and her eyes looked down to you, a mixture of frustration and concern in her gaze.
Because you didn't come back when you said you would. I knew something was wrong.
You smiled faintly, though the expression barely reached your frozen lips. I could always trust you to find me.
Of course you could. You think I would let you freeze to death out there?
You didn't have the strength to reply, your head leaning against her shoulder, as the exhaustion threatened to pull you under. She noticed immediately, her grip tightening.
Don't you dare fall asleep. Stay with me, Mayan. Just a little longer.
Her voice was enough to keep you tethered to consciousness, though the cold still weighed heavily on you. You could hear her muttering under her breath, her usually calm demeanor cracking under the strain of worry. And after what felt like an eternity, you felt the wind ease as she carried you into a small, abandoned cabin. She kicked the door shut behind her and set you down gently on a pile of furs near the fireplace.
Stay still,
she said, her voice softer now, but still determined as ever. And you watched through half-lidded eyes as she moved quickly, lighting the fireplace with practiced efficiency. The warmth of the growing flames began to fill the room, and you let out a soft sigh of relief. She returned to your side moments later, pulling a thick blanket over you.
Why didn't you tell me you were heading out here?
I didn't want to bother you. I already said I would be back, and I really thought it wouldn't be trouble. Her eyes narrowed, and she knelt beside you, her hand brushing a strand of frozen hair from your face.
Are you an idiot? You're more important than anything else. Don't ever think otherwise.
And the weight of her words made your chest ache, and you managed a small smile and a nod. I know. I'm sorry. She exhaled sharply, her frustration giving way to something softer.
You don't have to apologize. Just don't pull something like this again. Promise me.
I promise. You murmured, your voice barely audible. And satisfied, she sat beside you, pulling you into her lap and wrapping her arms around you to share her warmth. The steady rhythm of her breathing and the crackling of the fire created a cocoon of safety around you and warmth, so contrasting to the cold that you were in outside.
You scared me,
she admitted after a long silence, her voice so quiet you almost didn't hear it. I didn't mean to. And you're here now, he whispered, leaning into her embrace.
and I always will be. No matter where you go, I'll always find you,
she said, her arms tightening around you. And those words from a random person would not be so reassuring. But right now, this was Arlecchino saying them, when she loved you. So you let her words wash over you, the warmth of her presence and her promise, melting away any of the lingering cold. And in that moment, you knew that everything would be fine, because Arlecchino would always sort it out, and she'd see to it that you'd be okay.